You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights. We're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be back with you. Sorry about last week, but I wasn't going to go head-to-head with the debate. I mean, you know, I get a little crazy sometimes, but I'm not stupid. Anyway, for those of you that could stomach the entire 90-minute affair, I hope you got something useful out of it, more than I did. I couldn't manage to watch the whole thing. I tried. It just didn't work for me. But anyway, it is what it is. We're down to 2 weeks. Some polls show some tightening. Some polls show some widening of the gap. You know, it's just what you believe, what you can believe, what you can't believe. Who knows, right? That's why they play the game, so they say. But anyway, just a reminder, too, before we get rolling good tonight, right after me, right here on KLRN Radio, you got Jesse's POV, so stay tuned for that. Always a great show. Then there will be a short intermission, like 60 minutes worth of something that will fill the gap. And then a Rhino Report will follow that. So, as always, stay tuned to KLRN Radio. Wednesday TV sucks, and we don't. All right, so we're going to kick everything off tonight with a little bit of off-the-cuff kind of stuff here. I've stolen some facts. Yeah, I know. How do you steal facts? Facts are facts. I mean, you either use them or you don't use them. I like using facts. But I've incorporated a bunch of facts into this, and it really just yanks my chain, folks. So with all that fanfare, shall we say, let me go ahead and give you this and see what you think. We've agreed that our health reform bill will promote choice, said President Barack Obama on July 21st, 2009. Americans will be able to compare the price and quality of different plans and pick the plan they want, he said. If you like your current plan, you will be able to keep it, he said. Then he was so bold as to double down on that statement, saying, let me repeat that. If you like your plan, you will be able to keep it. He really wanted Americans to remember that catchphrase. This care and through our wallets. This week, Kaiser Family Foundation released their analysis of the Obamacare changes that indicates there will be 5 states in 2017 where only one insurance company is offering health insurance plans through the exchange. These states include Alabama, Alaska, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Wyoming. Now, we can't fault the Kaiser Family Foundation for missing Tennessee because the Tennessee debacle has just really unfolded, and they've been doing this research ongoing for a while to put this report together. So you can now make it 6 with what's happening in Tennessee. But these exchanges will only be for people who can still afford insurance. Funny how that works, right? In Birmingham, Alabama, according to the KFF, that's the Kaiser Family Foundation, their analysis shows that the monthly premium for the second lowest cost silver plan for a 40-year-old non-smoker will increase 71%, jumping from $288 to $492. Fact. In Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, it will increase 67%, jumping from $295 to $493. In Phoenix, Arizona, it will increase 145%, jumping from $207 to $507. But unlike the Obamacare exchange users in Birmingham and Oklahoma City, according to the KFF analysis, exchange users in Phoenix will actually get to choose between two different companies offering the same plan at the same price. This is what our illustrious President Barack Obama and his sycophant defenders, like then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, calls a marketplace. That's right. Lest we forget, Hillary was in on ramming this piece of socialist legislation down our throats too. The same piece of legislation that she now conveniently attacks just so she can assume the reins of our great nation and continue the work of eliminating freedom and increasing the number of American citizens enslaved by big government. For Americans worried about these escalating insurance premiums, establishment government apologists are quick to note that if you make less than 400% of the poverty level, the government will subsidize your insurance premiums. In other words, if you make less than 400% of the poverty level, federal taxpayers, you and me, all across the country will be required to chip in and help buy your insurance. Well, not help. We'll be buying it for you. The government's lesson here? Keep your income down so you can get other Americans to subsidize your health insurance. Oh yes, folks, this is socialism at its very finest. Or if you do not earn enough to buy insurance, even with a government subsidy, you can go directly to the preferred coverage method of the government. That would be fully funded government-provided health insurance. Why is it preferred? Because once you're in the realm of health care that's fully funded by the government then decides everything for you. What you can and will be treated for, which medications you can and cannot have, which treatments you can and cannot partake in. List goes on and on and on. You want to talk about death panels? They're already coming together, folks. They're already coming together to decide whether they should spend money to save somebody's life or if it's not worth the effort. In July, the number of people in the United States enrolled in Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program, known as CHIP, exceeded the entire population of the United Kingdom. It also exceeded the population of France. There were 72,810,267 people enrolled in Medicaid and CHIP as of this July, according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That was up by 15,393,500 people from Medicaid and CHIP enrollment back in the July to September period of 2013. Which was just before the Obamacare exchanges opened. Now follow me here. This is, okay, remember that number, 15,393,550 people. When President Obama spoke last week about the successes of Obamacare, he bragged that 15 million people more now have coverage, as he calls it. Well, you know where that 15 million came from, right, folks? There they are, right there. Medicaid, and CHIP. 15 million people. This is the number that Hillary actually wants to increase with further socialistic ideas and her immigration plan. You see, it has nowhere to go but up with her plan. She's going to take the number of refugees that Obama wants in this country, and she's going to double it the first year. And if she can get away with doing more, she's going to do more. By the time her 4 years are over with, the number of refugees coming into this country will be tenfold of where she starts. Mark my words. Meanwhile, there are only 66,836,154 people in France and 64,430,428 in the United Kingdom, according to the CIA's World Fact Book. In 2015, according to the Census Bureau, there was a total U.S. population of 318,868,000 people, and 37.1%, you heard me right, 37.1%, that's 118,395,000 people had government-provided health insurance at some point during the year. Now, here's where they bump this number just a tad, okay? So listen up. This includes Medicare, Medicaid, and military and veterans coverage. Now, to me, that's a really dirty trick to try to make that number look a lot bigger than it is. We know that there are about 500,000 active duty military people in the United States, and who knows how many, probably 3.5 million veterans. So we can trim that number a little bit, but trying to make it sound like the military and veterans are such a huge drag on the country, doesn't work. That still leaves over 115 million people on government-provided, taxpayer-funded health insurance coverage. And you can guess where the increases come from, especially as Obama has decreased the size of our military. This number is up from 34.6% in 2013. Now, you can take this as you want, but I'm telling you right now that this is a good measure of the trajectory of American liberty. As government control of healthcare rises, our freedom falls. Under the Obama administration, the federal government has worked hard to establish law that allows it to dictate what insurance coverage you must have. For the first time in our nation's history, the federal government ordered people to buy a product which the Supreme Court upheld as legitimate exertion of the taxing power of government. A figurative slap in the face to every person who values the lives of innocent children now subject to taxpayer-funded mutilations that they call health care. And there's nothing you and I can do about it. Hillary wants to expand this plan, not eliminate it. She thinks that killing babies is a health care decision, and that it has no business in a discussion of morality. Wielding this power, the federal government ordered many Americans, by regulation, to buy a version of the product, one that included coverage of abortion-inducing drugs and devices that violated their moral and religious beliefs and made them complicit in the taking of innocent human life. Now that the federal government has forced you to buy coverage, including coverage that you don't want and or need, and shown that it will use this power to attack human life rather than to protect it, what's to stop it from taking the next step? And what is that next step? How about telling you what coverage you can't have? All at your expense and mine. Anyway, that's just a little something to think about. I had 2 weeks to come together with that and bring that to fruition. I hope it's informative some way to somebody. And now we'll get down to the real meat of the show. What's going on in the news that is not being covered that should be? Well, here's a great story. And it kind of relates to what I just ended on, so this kind of ties together nicely. But the United Kingdom, that's right, Great Britain, UK, England, home of Brexit, their House of Lords debated and ultimately moved to committee a bill last Friday that would make it illegal to abort babies diagnosed with a disability past 24 weeks of gestation. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a great win type thing, but bear with me here, okay? Current UK law allows for abortion up to birth for an unborn baby diagnosed with a disability, compared to a 24-week limit on abortion for a healthy unborn child. Now, where did this argument come from? Well, I'm going to tell you. Lord Kevin Shinkwin, that's right, you heard me right, Shinkwin, a sufferer of a rare genetic disorder, vigorously argued for the necessity of his bill Friday. As a disabled person, as a would-be prime candidate for abortion on grounds of disability, Lord Shinkwin said in his speech to the House of Lords, I would like to say to the eugenists in the Department of Health and those who obviously fail to appreciate the enormity of what is being perpetuated in our name, how dare you? How dare you wipe us out and dismiss us as mere conditions? He added that his message to those who share those views is, I am your equal. I will not be defined by my disability. I will be defined by who I am, my contribution to your lordship's house and to public service. He went on to say there's a stark anomaly, an inconsistency, if you will, in the law whereby discrimination on grounds of disability is both prohibited by law after birth and yet confusingly actually enshrined in law at the very point at which discrimination begins at source, before birth. Shinkwin cited Section 11D of the 1967 Abortion Act, which allows abortion up to birth if there is, quote, a substantial risk that the child be born, it would suffer from a physical or mental abnormality as to be seriously handicapped. Abortion is otherwise illegal past the 24th week of pregnancy outside from exceptions for risk to the life of the mother. By rights, my lords, I shouldn't be here. I should be dead, Shinkwin said. Indeed, more than that, according to the eugenics screening program of our Department of Health, I would be better off dead because of serious handicap, to use the outdated terminology of the Act. I regard of that anomaly in the law. How ridiculous it is, Shinkwin noted, that I should be a member of your lordship's house, for whom the health minister recently professed in an email to me, no doubt sincere, to have the greatest respect, and yet were a younger, unborn version of me to be detected in the womb today. Section 11D of the Act and his department's search and destroy approach to screening would make me a prime candidate for abortion. And just so you know, the condition that Shinkwin suffers from is brittle bone disease. That's considered enough of an ailment to allow to be aborted at any point up to birth. Shinkwin's abortion disability equality bill would completely remove Section 11D from the 1967 Act. Shinkwin noted that the practical effect of his bill would be that the mother's ability to abort will be governed by the same criteria that's applied in the case of any other fetus. The difference in practice is modest, he acknowledged, but added that the difference in principle is huge. Shinkwin argued that for unborn babies whose disability is detected, a mother's womb has become an increasingly dangerous place. He cited the UK's Department of Health statistics for 2015, which showed 230 abortions past 24 weeks on grounds of disability in 2015, which Shinkwin said is a 56% increase in the number of terminations on grounds of disability after 24 weeks over the last 5 years between 2010 and 2015. There were 3,213 abortions total on the grounds of disability in 2015, a 68% increase in the number of terminations on grounds of disability over the last 10 years. Shinkwin added that 689 abortions were because of a diagnosis of Down syndrome alone in 2015. Folks, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I know several children with Down syndrome. God bless them, they are precious. Shinkwin said that tragically 11 abortions were for cleft lip or palate, an easily rectifiable condition through surgery. That's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. The bill comes at a time when UK Secretary of Health Jeremy Hunt is deciding when and how to implement a new screening technique, the non-invasive prenatal testing, which can detect Down syndrome with 99% accuracy. Shinkwin noted that he requested back in March that the health secretary meet with him and with people with Down syndrome, their families and representatives, to discuss their grave concerns. He said if the meeting does not take place, he would be very seriously concerned, and I would simply urge with greatest respect my government and my party not to disown its own Disability Discrimination Act and its commitment to ensuring disabled people must be heard on all crucial issues affecting them, which is consistent with the spirit of that act. Can you imagine, folks? Can you absolutely imagine somebody aborting their Down syndrome baby a week before their full term, a day before their full term? That's disgusting to me. I don't know why anybody thinks that we need to have a discussion over whether abortion is health care or not. Apparently the Democrats contend that it actually is health care of some kind. I couldn't be any more adamant in believing that it is nothing shy of murder. And I'll go to bat with anybody with a differing view. I don't care. If amoebas found on the fossilized surface of Mars can be considered life, why can't the Democrats' quote-unquote clump of cells be considered life? Just something to think about. If you would like to voice your opinion, you can always reach me at 405-648-4798. That's 405-648-4798. The line's always open. You don't have to talk about what I'm talking about. We can talk about what you want to talk about. I'm flexible that way. Right now, we're going to take a break at the bottom of the hour here. And when we come back, we're going to continue on with news that's not getting covered that probably should be. So do stay tuned, and we'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes. Let's pay the bills, Mr. Producer.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All right, welcome back. Good to have you back. I hope you got that number before the break. Oh, thank you, Seymour. Seymour, the engineer, coming through with the glass again. But just in case you missed the number, let me pull it back up here real quick. It is 405-648-4798. That is 405-648-4798. So anyway, let's get back to news not being covered that should be. This actually got a little bit of coverage, but not a whole lot because they realized what he was doing, and then they decided that they probably didn't want to make it real popular out there in the news cycle. So Defense Secretary and waffling specialist Ash Carter last Thursday refused to answer a reporter's question about a possible intelligence disclosure by Hillary Clinton. At Wednesday's final presidential debate, Democrat Hillary Clinton accused Republican Donald Trump of being very cavalier and even casual about the use of nuclear weapons. According to Clinton, quote, "The bottom line on nuclear weapons is that when the president gives the order, it must be followed. There's about 4 minutes between the order being given and the people responsible for launching nuclear weapons to do so." End quote. CNN's veteran Pentagon correspondent, yeah, I know, CNN, it's a joke. Can you believe she actually asked this question, though? Barbara Starr read Clinton's quote to Secretary Ash Carter and asked at a news conference, "Is it classified to discuss the nuclear launch time frame?" "It's either classified or it's not," she said. To which the professional waffler, Ash Carter, said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to answer your first part because it is cast in terms of the ongoing presidential campaign, and I said repeatedly that I'm not going to answer questions in that context." So, not going to answer that one, Carter said. He did answer the second part of Starr's question about the likelihood of provocations from North Korea during the transition of political power in the United States. To which he said, Kim Jong-un is unpredictable. He is prone to provocations. And Carter said that the U.S. and its ally South Korea are involved in counter-provocation planning and consultation every time North Korea acts up. As necessary, our two presidents are on the phone to coordinate our response, said Carter. What a wuss bag It's a simple question, Ash. And it's a simple question that's deserving of an answer. She's the one that brings to light all these things that she claims that Trump said and did that are bad. So why is it off limits to ask about what she says being bad? Answer the damn question, Ash. Quit being a pain in the ash. Anyway, that's just a quick little bite. Now, great little story here. It's one that needs to be reviewed before the election because it's kind of gone away a little bit. The State Department's second-ranking diplomat in Libya on the day that terrorists attacked the U.S. facilities in Benghazi and killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, and Tyrone Woods, says the key lessons Americans should take from that event is that officials in Washington, D.C. have a responsibility to make sure Americans serving their country abroad have the ability to protect themselves or are protected by U.S. military assets. This did not happen in Benghazi, said Gregory Hicks. Hicks was the deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli on September 11th, 2012. I think first that I hope that the American people will appreciate the risks that diplomats and intelligence officers and our military personnel take to protect and preserve our democracy and our way of life, Hicks said in an interview. Every day we risk our lives out in some of the most dangerous environments and conditions imaginable. And our officials in Washington have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to ensure that we have the ability to protect ourselves, to be protected when we are risking our lives for our country. And again, that did not happen in Benghazi. Our security personnel that we needed to protect us in a very risky environment were withdrawn, Hicks said. The law was not followed in terms of what kind of facilities we occupied, he said. And so we were very vulnerable. On August 7th, 1998, 14 years before the Benghazi attacks, Al-Qaeda bombed the U.S. embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. These terrorist attacks killed 220 people. Afterward, the State Department convened an accountability review board, just as it did after Benghazi. Congress followed up on that accountability review board's report by enacting the Secure Embassy Construction and Counterterrorism Act, signed by President Bill Clinton in 1999. Under the SECCA, each newly acquired U.S. diplomatic facility must be set back at least 100 feet from the perimeter of the property on which it is located, and all U.S. government personnel serving in that area, except those under military command, must be located in the same facility. If the State Department decides to occupy a new diplomatic facility that does not meet these requirements according to the law, the Secretary of State must personally issue a waiver to the requirements and notify the appropriate congressional committees of this waiver. In Benghazi, as discussed in the report released by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence in January 2014, the CIA and the State Department were not, I repeat, not located in the same facility. Testifying along with Hicks in the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee in May of 2013, Eric Nordstrom, who had been the regional security officer at the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli, said the department had not followed this law in either Tripoli or Benghazi. No waivers of SECCA requirements or exceptions to the required Overseas Security Policy Board standards were prepared for either the Tripoli or Benghazi compounds, Nordstrom told the committee. More importantly, senior decision makers in the department, including the United States Undersecretary for Management, Patrick Kennedy, determined that funding would not be provided in order to bring the facilities into compliance with the aforementioned standards, said Nordstrom. Neither SECCA or OSPB allows for blanket waivers or exceptions simply due to the temporary nature of the facilities, he testified. Furthermore, SECCA waiver requirements for buildings solely occupied by the United States government overseas must be approved by the Secretary of State and cannot, I repeat, cannot be delegated. Since there is no SECCA waiver on file, the obvious question for the committee and the ARB is if the Secretary of State did not waive these requirements, who did so by ordering occupancy of the facilities in Benghazi and Tripoli? The House Select Committee on Benghazi said in its final report published in July, federal regulation and State Department rules set out the security standards United States facilities located abroad are required to meet and keep Americans safe. Senior State Department officials nevertheless made the decision to exclude temporary facilities such as Benghazi from these security rules, said the report. Undersecretary of State for Management Patrick Kennedy, it said, attempted to justify this exclusion. In addition to the OSPB security standards, Kennedy told the committee, according to the report, the Secure Embassy Construction and Counterterrorism Act, the applicable federal security law, provides, among other things, a diplomatic facility ensure, one, all government and personnel are located together in the new diplomatic facility. Two, that the diplomatic facility is located not less than 100 feet from the perimeter of the property on which the facility is situated. With regard to Benghazi, however, Kennedy told the committee the State Department Office of the Legal Advisor determined this facility would not fit within the definition of a diplomatic facility under SECCA, which defines the term as an office that, one, is officially notified to the host government as diplomatic consular premises, or two, houses United States government personnel with an official status recognized by the host government. If the facility will not be notified to the host government, then it will not be considered inviolable. And our personnel will not have any official status. Then the facility would not meet the definition of a diplomatic facility under the statute. Now, in his own testimony, in front of the Oversight Committee in 2013, Greg Hicks said that Ambassador Stevens told him that Secretary Clinton had said in May of 2012, when he was sworn in as ambassador, that she wanted him to make Benghazi a permanent U.S. mission. Hicks also testified that for budgetary reasons, Stevens needed to start taking action on this move before the end of the fiscal year. And also that Secretary Clinton was planning to visit Libya before the end of the year. Chris told me that in his exit interview with the secretary after he was sworn in, the secretary said, quote, "We need to make Benghazi a permanent post." And Chris said, "I'll make it happen." Timing for this decision was important Hicks testified, Chris needed to report before September 30th, the end of the fiscal year, on the physical, the political, and security environment in Benghazi to support an action memo to convert Benghazi from a temporary facility to a permanent facility. Hicks also testified that another factor was our understanding that Secretary Clinton intended to visit Tripoli in December. Now, Hicks said in an interview that he and Stevens saw the move to make Benghazi a permanent mission as an opportunity to fix the security problems with the U.S. facility there. Yet even as they were moving to do so, the State Department was drawing down U.S. security assets in Libya. Chris was very excited, Hicks said. We had a lunch meeting after the swearing-in ceremony and before he went to Tripoli. And he told me that one of the outcomes of that conversation with Secretary Clinton was a request from the Secretary to make Benghazi a permanent diplomatic post, a consulate. And that to him was an exciting opportunity. To me, it was an exciting opportunity. And I think to both of us, we saw it as a way to correct the security flaws in our position there. We understood the political importance of a presence in Benghazi, Hicks said. The American flag needed to be there. Eastern Libya was the cockpit of the revolution. It was the heart of Libyan culture and Libyan society, but it was also the center of the Islamist extremist presence in the country. And we needed to have a post there, not only to show our commitment to Libyan democracy, but to keep an eye on the extremists. So Ambassador Stevens was told by Secretary Clinton that she specifically requested to make this a permanent post in Benghazi. And Hicks and Stevens saw this as Excalibur in the stone, according to Hicks. So later in an interview, Hicks was asked, was it your understanding that Secretary Clinton also understood the security problems with the State Department presence in Benghazi and thought making it a permanent post would correct those? To which Hicks answered, I don't believe that was part of the conversation with her at all. And given the strange bifurcation between security and withdrawal at a time when the threat environment was increasing, I can't imagine that Mrs. Clinton actually thought about security at all, said Hicks. So the State Department is withdrawing security assets from Libya at the same time she's telling Ambassador Chris Stevens, who is about to go over there, I want you to go over and make Benghazi a permanent mission. To which Hicks said, exactly. Pointing to the report of the House Select Committee on Benghazi, Hicks says he believes the military also was not preparing to deal with the situation unfolding in Libya. I think the record is pretty clear that they were unprepared to respond to the attacks that we endured on that day and in subsequent days, said Hicks. We have to be better than that. Our military personnel, I hope, read this Benghazi report, the majority report, and take it to heart. One of my comments to a friend was our Russian and Chinese and Iranian and North Korean competitors who have read that report must be emboldened to know that the United States can be surprised so badly. On the other hand, Hicks said, the American people need to understand that their fellow citizens who go out to risk their lives are incredibly resourceful and incredibly gallant and heroic. The fact that the security detail from the annex went to the state compound in Benghazi and chased 10 times their number of terrorists out of that compound and saved 5 lives is a tribute to that heroism. The fact that 7 other personnel in Tripoli volunteered to get on an airplane and fly to Benghazi not knowing what they would find when they got to Benghazi is also a testament. And because they were in Benghazi at the time of the mortar attack, 30 Americans are still with us today. Hicks, who has a master's degree from the University of Michigan in applied economics and modern Near Eastern European and Northern Africa studies, served in the State Department from 1991 until he retired this year. In addition to his service in Libya, he also served in Afghanistan, Bahrain, Yemen, and Syria. Hicks said, "I lost a friend in the bombing in Nairobi, and another of my close friends is lucky to be alive today. And then I lost more friends in Benghazi. We need to make sure that those sacrifices are remembered going forward, and we need to make sure that they don't have to be made going forward." I couldn't agree more, Mr. Hicks. I cannot agree more. All right. So, next up, what did you miss in the news that you should not have missed? How about the Environmental Protection Agency spending over 10 million taxpayer dollars to train teachers to deliver high-quality climate change education? Environmental educators help learners of all ages understand the value of the ecosystem around them, said United States Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Gina McCarthy. The teacher training program gives educators access to the best classroom and out-of-classroom materials and professional development opportunities focused on using the environment as a platform for learning science, technology, engineering, and math skills to improve decision-making. Basically, folks, yeah, give me some crickets on that. Basically, folks, what this is more brainwashing of your children. More brainwashing of your children by the government. They want to make your children dumb. They want to make your children beholden to their knowledge, or what they call knowledge, not the truth. The program is being called EE360, and it will begin next year and is the result of a cooperative arrangement between the EPA and the North American Association for Environmental Education, the agency's teacher training program. How neat. We have a government-funded program for this, right? Your tax dollars, my tax dollars. NAAEE is working with a coalition of partners, including Stanford University, the University of Oregon, Antioch University, the National Park Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and NOAA and the Forestry Service. It will train 4,400 educators in the first year of the program. The partners will also strengthen the field by building infrastructure through leadership clinics, developing state certification programs using technology, expanding access to resources, and researching the value of environmental education, the EPA stated in their press release. When asked the EPA whether the teacher training will include the subject of climate change specifically, an agency spokesperson said, quote, "The teacher training program does not focus on specific environmental topic areas." What this means is that they're going to point their way to it without actually mentioning it. Now, for me, that's a bunch of crap. A bunch of crap. because I see what happens in education programs. I see it on a daily basis. I work in public education. I'm not an educator, but I work in public education. There's a lot better ways to spend 10 million tax dollars, I promise you. Anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, folks. We are at the top of the hour. Want you to sit tight, get ready for Jesse's POV coming up right after I sign off. We will have a program in the gap after Jesse's POV, and then after that, there will be the Rhino Report for you late nighters. That's my bedtime, so I will be asleep having to listen tomorrow. But anyway, as always, thank you for being here. If you like the program, tell a friend. If your friends like the program, you likely need new friends, but both they and you are welcome every Wednesday night with me, the Grouch. Peace. God bless. See you next Wednesday.
We believe in the American way. We built this country called the USA.